Continuing, almost as much speculation has made about the identity of the star has been made about the identity of the star as about the identity of the man who saw it. Some suggest it was Jupiter, the king of the planets. Others claim that it was the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn, forming the sign of the fish, which was used as a symbol for Christianity in the early church during the Roman persecutions, which probably is some bullshit because, like I said, we all know and the truth that Christianity is just another pagan fucking religion. Like I said, nobody's really worshiping the true God, Salaki, the true power of the scriptures. Because that could go back to Dagon. We don't know. I mean, the Pope wear a fucking fish on his head. The Pope got fish on his robe and on that little staff he carries. You know what I mean? Like, and then you got to remember the fish god Dagon. So, the gods of the Philistines worship. So, so we're going to cut that shit right up. You know what I mean? It makes you wonder if he's, just confused or doesn't know, or if, like Apostle Tahar went into, some of these Emites don't know scripture. Some of these Christians don't know scripture. I'm sure that this person that wrote this is probably believing and professing himself as a Christian. Some Christians don't know scriptures. But at the same time, you got some people that purposely mislead too. That's why it says in scripture how, fooling to the point where the very elect, if he wasn't to come back, the very elect would be fooled, roughly paraphrasing. Continue. Still, others claim that it was a low-hanging meteor, an erratic comet, or simply an inner version of the star of destiny in the hearts of mankind. And that's the spirit, because like I said, I believe, that they say there was a chariot. Since the birth, since the Bible does not identify or explain the star, we cannot be dogmatic, but it may have been the glory of Yahweh, the same glory that shone around the shepherds when Yahushua's birth was announced to them by the angel. And used in Luke 2:9. Throughout the Old Testament, we are told of Yahweh's glory being manifested as light, Yahweh's radiating his presence in the form of an infallible light. The Lord guided the children of Israel through the wilderness by a pillar of cloud by day and in a pillar of fire by night. See, so he don't know what the fuck he talking about because that was a chariot. You know what I mean? Exodus 24:17. So yeah, I don't know if he's purposely doing it or, like I said, he just doesn't know. And like I said, this is a scholar. This is a man going back into ancient words. You know what I mean? So, like you gotta really wonder, like probably purposely misleading. When Moses went up to Mount Sinai to the eyes of the son of Israel, the appearance of the glory of Yahweh was like a consuming fire on the mountaintop. Is used in Exodus 24:17. On a later occasion, after Moses had inscribed the Ten Commandments on stone tablets, his face still glowed with the light of Yahweh's glory when he returned to the people. Exodus 34:30. When Yahushua was transfigured before Peter, James, and John, his face shone like the sun, and his garments became as white as light. Matthew 17:2. On the Damascus road, just before Yahushua spoke to him, Saul of Tarsus was surrounded by a light from heaven. Acts 9:3, which he later explained was brighter than the sun. Acts 26:13. In John's first vision of the island of Patmos, he saw Mashiach's face like the sun shining in his strength. Revelations 1:16. In his vision of the New Jerusalem, the future heavenly dwelling of all that ain't all believers. UW, do that in there. It's just, heaven is, don't get me wrong, the world's going to be inhabited, but, our heaven is going to be the Edomites' hell, just like our hell is the Edomites' heaven. Anyhow, he reports that the city has no need of the sun or of the moon to shine upon it, for the glory of Yahweh has illuminated it, and its lamp is the Lamb. Revelations 21:23, both the Hebrew, and then like I said, he's using, Greek and Hebrew words. He said kokab, and the Greek Esther words for star were also used figuratively to represent any great brilliance or radiance. Early in the Old Testament, the Messiah is spoken of as a star that shall come forth from Jacob, Numbers 24 and 17. And at the end of the New Testament, he refers to himself as the bright morning star, Revelation 22 and 16. It was surely the glory of Yahweh blazing as if it were an extremely bright star. He said it was shortly visible only to his eyes, for whom it was intended to be seen, that appeared to the Magi in the east and later guided them to Bethlehem. It was a brilliant manifestation of the sign of the Son of Man. Shekinah. So I guess they got a word for this brightness. I can't pronounce it though. It says Shekinah. Glory of Yahweh stood over Bethlehem just as centuries before it had stood over the tabernacle in the wilderness. And just as the pillars of clouds gave light to Israel but darkness to Egypt, Exodus 14 and 20, only the eyes of the Magi were open to see Yahweh's great light over Bethlehem. That the Magi were not following the star is clear from the fact that they had to inquire about where Yahweh was born. They saw his star in the east, but there is no evidence that it continued to shine or that it led them to Jerusalem. It was not until they were told of the prophesied birthplace of the Messiah, Matthew 2, 5, and 6, that the star reappeared and then guided them not only to Bethlehem but to the exact place where the child was. These travelers from the east had come to Palestine with but one purpose: to find the one-born king of the Jews and worship him. The word worship is full of meaning, expressing the ideal of falling down, prostrating oneself and kissing the feet or the hem of the garment of one honored. That truth in itself shows that they were true seekers after Yahweh, because when he spoke to them in whatever way it was, they heard and responded. Despite their paganism, quasi-science, and superstition, they recognized Yahweh's voice when he spoke. Though having had limited spiritual light, they immediately recognized Yahweh's light when it shone on them. They had genuinely seeking hearts that the Lord possesses will never fail to find him. They quoted Jeremiah 29 and 13, which is, that's only for Israel, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry to say. I mean, this place is so based on fucking classism and separatism and all kinds of shit. But this one thing, the one thing that we really got, you got, Jake that's gifted with, athleticism and, intellect and all that. But, you only could do so much with that in another man's kingdom. That's like you got these fucking Masons. Like, my walk in the truth, I've had to deal with a lot of fucking Masons, right? And, don't realize they're Masons until, the Most High revealed it to me. And in these motherfuckers' minds, like the last Mason I was around, in they minds, like, the motherfucker made a comment. He was like, he was saying how, we as so-called black people, we're financially illiterate. And because of the way, this how the society's stacked against you and all that. He's like, we, compared to other, cultures and whatnot, are like 113, something like that. I know he said over 100 years behind all the rest of the people because we don't know how to really manage money. And basically, he went into some other stuff, but basically these motherfuckers feel that they're going to be able to usurp these Edomites out of that position. You know what I mean? Like, I met a Mason when I was in this fucking it wasn't a shelter, it was like kind of like a halfway house thing. And he went into this story about how he was there, and he's a Prince Hall Mason, but he was around some other Masons, and he spoke to the fucking Mason, but the Mason sat up there and treated him like the nigga that the Mason thought he was. And he's like, he almost shed a tear, and I'm laughing at it because I'm like, you silly ass, two-third ass nigga, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you're not going to beat these people in their system. Like I said, these people, I was listening to dude called himself, he made it, he made a lot of money in Esau's system or whatnot. He had a high position, but, he working through the courts. It's so funny how the Most High did it, and I'm not going to elaborate too much into it because I'm digressing from what I'm doing. But he, financially, well off. And we went into Bitcoin, and he was talking about he don't think it's going to be this and all this old shit. I live in Oh, well, I'm from a very poor city, but in actuality, I was raised in a city that the Rockefellers actually had their home in. So at one point in time, this was a very wealthy city. This is what all those well-to-do cities try to mirror themselves after. And anyhow, and this, I mean, if you see it today, you got to recognize these motherfuckers had to be doing some wicked shit because this place is so defiled. You know what I mean? Like, this bitch is hanging on by a thread. They always over budget, don't ever have enough money. The city always trying to, scheme and do something. I mean, just all kind of, and we ain't just talking about that, the crime and just the, the whole atmosphere of it. It's called East Cleveland. Anyhow, in this lowly motherfucker, they got Bitcoin machines. So this motherfucker, why he's so financially literate, don't even realize that Bitcoin coming. How the fuck this cryptocurrency ain't coming when you got already different governments like China and Russia and all that? Already, America's already trying to fucking, but maybe, because you got Satan to keep you blinded. They say Satan gives gifts too. You know what I'm saying? But like the one brother said, Barbarian Rebel, he said, like how they was doing with Bell, they was cut themselves like, whoa, do something, what I mean? What shit happening? So when Satan leave them and they can't call them demons no more, then what? But Salakia, I don't want to Salakia. On a plane trip 2 years ago, I'm not even going to read that. Okay, the next subtitle says the agitation of Herod. And when Herod the king heard it, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him, and gathering together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he began to inquire of them where Hamashiach was to be born. And they said to him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judea, are by no means least among the leaders of Judah, for out of you shall come forth a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod secretly called the Magi and ascertained from them the time the star appeared, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and make careful search for the child, and when you have found him, report to me that I too may come and worship him. Matthew 2, verses 3 through 8. The response of Herod was exactly the opposite of that of the Magi. Whereas the Magi rejoiced at hearing of Yahushua's birth, when Herod the king heard it, he was troubled. The king's anxiety is not hard to understand. In the first place, he was sitting on a political and religious powder keg. He had driven the Corinthians out of Palestine, but had to continue fighting the bands of Jewish zealots who wanted their country to be free from Roman occupation and domination, especially in light of his intense jealousy and paranoia. Any mention of another king of the Jews sent him into a frenzy of fear and anger. The fact that the Magi themselves were probably Corinthians or closely associated with the Corinthians gave Herod special cause for concern. Because the Magi at this time were still powerful in the east, it is likely that they traveled with a large contingent of soldiers and servants, causing their presence in Jerusalem to seem even more threatening to Herod. Because of their wealth, prestige, and power, they had the appearance and demeanor of royalty, which is why they had long been traditionally pictured and sung about as kings from the Orient. The Magi were not simply mystics, and as I mentioned above, their number could have been considerably more than 3. To Herod, the appearance of this impressive company portended a renewed political threat from the east, and though he was by now some 70 years old, he wanted to maintain his position and power to the end, and did not want to spend his last years in warfare. I'm going to stop there, and then I'm going to try and read. I think there's only a few more pages in this chapter.